This is my biggest advice that I can give to beginner business owners. And you might say, well, why should I listen to your advice, Jeremiah? I've been building businesses for the last 19 years, have built multiple 8-figure companies in the coaching, education, mentorship space. And I have helped coach multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure business owners, have worked with thousands of business owners, and I see this with 99% of beginning business owners. 99% of beginners that are in business, this is the best advice that I can give them. So what it is that a lot of people, when they're getting started in business, they have this belief. And the biggest part about this belief is that they have a lot of conviction about it. They have the level of conviction that, like, have you ever met Christians that fully believe in Jesus and there is nothing that you could say to them to get them to not believe in Jesus, right? I would be one of those. But you know what I'm talking about. Beginner business owners believe this one thing at the same level that a lot of Christians believe in Jesus. They have so much conviction behind this belief that there is almost nothing that can actually be said to them to change their mind. And I'm gonna tell you what it is. It's this belief that someday in the future they will have more time, more money, and their life will be in order and less chaotic enough for them to finally do what they need to do to build their business. And literally, beginner business owners hold to this with the same level of belief that Christians do believing Jesus. They're so adamant in their conviction that someday in the future things will finally come together for them to have the time and the money and the energy and the order to build their business. So I want to honor that fact that unfortunately it makes sense to our brains. It makes sense. But as somebody who has had experience with business, with thousands of beginner business owners, I can tell you there's not going to be a perfect time. You're never actually going to have enough money or enough time or enough off your plate in your life to start building your business. You have to start with what you have in front of you right now if you have a desire for business. If you're getting started in business, you have to start with the lack of money, lack of knowledge, lack of order, chaos, and lack of time that you have now instead of waiting until someday. Because here's what happens. I know people, they've been waiting 10 years for this change in their life to happen. Like, it's as much of this might sound harsh, but a fairy tale as believing that Santa Claus is going to come down your chimney or that Mickey Mouse is going to come to your house and do your dishes. And yet, beginner business owners hold to this with so much conviction, and they are waiting until and they're taught, be patient, right? They argue for it. I'm being patient. I'm waiting for my time. This is not what people mean when they say be patient in business. The patience happens by you taking action, not sitting around waiting for stuff around you that's outside of your control to suddenly change and your situation to change, because it's not ever going to change enough. You are going to have more chaos. You are going to have ups and downs with finances. You are going to have that. And there's never a day where it's all going to come together magically, ding, with a magic wand, and then suddenly you can start to build that business that you've always wanted and you could do all the things you wanted. I know this because this is with every business I've ever seen. And so I also know that there's literally less than 1% of the people who are going to watch this video are going to stick to the end because it challenges deep inside of their core being, their identity, and what they believe is true. Okay? And so if you are a beginner and you grab onto this and you realize that and you start taking action with what you have in front of you and you start doing something with what you have instead of waiting until you have more money, you stop waiting until you have more time, you stop waiting until it's all figured out and you actually start now. You stop waiting until you build a foundation and it feels good for you and you start now. Stuff will start to happen for you. There's not going to be a better time than today. Tomorrow is the next best time, right? Yesterday was the best time. And yet, for whatever reason, beginner business owners are convinced beyond belief with the deepest level of conviction into this fairy tale belief that someday in the future, in fantasy future, I will have more money. I will have more time. I will have everything in order and figured out. And that's never going to come because you will always come up with excuses with that mindset. That mindset is wired to make you and keep you from ever doing anything until you change it to what I'm talking about, where you start doing something, even if it's the bare minimum, with what you have in front of you, with the resources that you have in front of you, with the time that you have in front of you, instead of waiting until it's all perfect. Okay? So that's my biggest advice for beginner business owners. And if you're a coach, if you're a trainer, if you're a mentor, and you want to build a six-figure business, like my client Joshua, he actually just sold $50,000 in his coaching business in 24 hours. My client Rick had $1 million month with his coaching business. Started from zero a few years ago. If you want to take your business to that level and build a 6, 7, or even 8-figure income for yourself, my Client Growth Accelerator is the best chance out there for you to be able to be successful. And I'd love to help you, come alongside you, and mentor you. And like I said, there's no better time than now to get started. Literally had somebody write me today. Well, I'm waiting until some stuff is in order, Jeremiah, before I get started. That person's literally they told me that 3 years ago. And 3 years from now, it's probably going to be the same story. Unless they choose to stop telling themselves that story. What are you going to choose? We'll talk soon. Have a good one.